Welcome back, friend. Let's write the XPath using XPath functions now. Because now we know what is XPath, the importance of XPath, and where to write the XPath. So all basic knowledge we have now. So let's see what all the formulas of XPath and how can we write the XPath, unique XPath, or more than one element XPath, common XPath for elements. What all are the functions? So let's start with very basic function // tag name @ attribute name is equal to attribute value. This is the most important formula of XPath, which is widely used, and most of the time, like almost 80 to 90% of the time, this formula will solve your problem. // tag name @ attribute name is equal to attribute value. So let's see how to write this one, how to use this formula. So suppose for any element, let's say we'll see here on google.com, if we have to write XPath for this element, how can we write that? So inspect that element, open DevTools here. So this is the DOM here for this particular element here. And let's open SelectorsHub. So if you have kept SelectorsHub in editor mode, it will open in editor mode only. So here we will write the XPath for this element. So the formula, as you know, that formula is // tag name. So what is the tag name? Now you know that this is the tag name here. So // and it is showing here like 9 matching node for this input. So if you press enter, there are 9 elements matching for this tag. So what we will use, we will add one condition, which is that formula for open square bracket. After that we will type @ and here suppose we want to write with class. So @ class, and here it suggests the value, so you can select this one, no need to type completely, and press enter, and we have written the XPath based on this formula // tag name // tag name, this is tag name, then open square bracket, then @ this is attribute name is equal to attribute value. So this is how we have written the XPath for this element. We can use any other attributes as well, like whichever we want and whichever we feel is the stable one. So like in place of class, let's say we want to use name, then we can use the name function, name attribute. If we want to use area, complete, or any other attribute, that we can use here and build our XPath. Okay, here we will have to notice that always observe in the DOM here before writing the XPath that which attribute you should choose here. Like here class is there, JSAction attribute is there, max length is there, name is there, other attributes like data var is there, title is equal to search is there, area label is equal to search is there. So here we should use that attribute which you feel is that more meaningful, as well as static, which is not going to change. Like if you refresh the page or reopen the page, that attribute value is not going to change. So use that attribute in your XPath. So here we will write XPath, let's say // input, and what attribute we should choose here, we should choose that one which is meaningful as well as stable. So first condition should be stable, second is like that is more meaningful, that when you write XPath and use it in your script, tomorrow if you come back, you should be able to understand by looking at the XPath that this XPath could be for search box. So here this title is equal to search, which is very meaningful, area label is equal to search, which is again very meaningful. So you can use any of these. So it is suggested that use those attributes which are stable as well as meaningful. So here we have used this title is equal to search. So this is how we can write the XPath for any element using the attribute name and attribute value. Okay, now here you see that you could also use the class as well, but just that like you will have to make sure that class is static or dynamic if it is going to change. Now suppose we want to make this XPath more robust, we want to add more condition in this, like find out those inputs which has the title is equal to search as well as class is equal to this value. So in that case, how can we add more condition? There are two ways you can add the condition. One is like you can add similar kind of a square bracket, and inside that @ attribute name and it's equal to attribute value. So here you can directly add @class, and this way you can add one more condition. So now here we are looking for those input in this page which is having title is equal to search and @class is equal to this. If any of these condition will break, then it will find zero matching node. Like let's say if h we remove here, then in that case it will show zero matching node. Okay, so this is how you can add more condition. If you doesn't want to add and condition in this way, you can also use the and keyword, like in programming you must have used. So in that case, like here this is XPath. Now you want to add one and condition. So in that case you can also use the and keyword, a and d, and then let's say class we want to add, you can add this way. So either you can use this way, this and, or you can separate it by a square bracket like this. Okay, so two ways to use the and condition, and here you can add as many as you want. In and like as many and keyword you want to add, that you can add here. Okay, so this is how you can use the and keyword and more condition if you want to apply in your XPath. Or condition, yes, there is something or as well in XPath. Like we have added this XPath. Okay, and you want to add one or condition in this, like if either title is equal to search should be there, or let's say class is equal to should be some other value like this class value. So here you can add or condition, or is like or @class and this. So here it is matching, like here it is checking either title should be search or class should be this one. So if you remove this h here, it will still find the matching node because class value is matching. But if class value will also not match, in that case it will show zero matching node. Okay, so this is how you can use and or condition. So these are the formulas here I have already given. So if any point of time you feel that you missed anything, you can look out the definition and the formula. So we have seen that how can we write the XPath using this function and or condition. Contains method. This is again very powerful function of XPath. Like here we have let's say here we have removed the h, so it will show zero matching node. Why? Because this is the substring of that value search. So if you want to write an XPath based on a substring of the attribute value, then how can you write that? So what you can do here, you can use the contains method. So contains and put your value inside parenthesis, and here in place of equal, replace that equal with comma. So this is how you can write the XPath based on attribute partial value or substring of the attribute value. Same thing you can do with text. Okay, text we are coming. So here, like this search was there, if you keep the complete value, that is also fine. If you want to replace the like part of a value, let's say you want to remove the initial value as e, then also it will match because it is looking for the substring partial value of that. So this is how you can use the contains method. And this will be the function. Just remember that you have to add contains and attribute name comma attribute value. Now we'll see the how can we write the XPath based on text value. This is again a very powerful function of XPath, because of which we all love XPath a lot. So how can we write the XPath based on text value, available text value? So as I have told you guys already that what is text? Text is like the value which is present between open tag and close tag. So here if you look at this, for this element from here till this open arrow to this close forward slash arrow here till here. So from here to here this is open tag, and from here to here this one is close tag. So this selenium is the text here. So if we have to write XPath in place of like XPath for this element, uh, this element, if we have to write XPath and we don't want to use class is equal to ultra, then what we can do, we can use text. So let's see how can we write the XPath for this element without using the class attribute. So here you can write double forward slash p and then text is equal to selenium. So this is how you can write the XPath for any element using the text of that web element. So it is showing one element matching. Good. Now likewise you can write for any other element as well. Like for this, let's say for this element we want to write XPath and we feel that we should not use this href attribute because this is having URL and forward slash all. So generally, like, it is not suggested to use the href attribute or any alphanumeric attribute in your XPath. So in that case we will go for this one. Like here it is showing just we have written the double forward slash a. Now we want to add the condition that text should be SelectorsHub. So it is showing one element matching. So this is how we can write the XPath based on text value. Now suppose we want to write the, again, like you have seen that in attribute we can write, use the contains method and partial value. On the basis of partial value we can write the XPath, right? So same thing we can do in case of text as well. Like here double forward slash a, and here if we want to use the contains method, let's say if we want to remove this hub from here and just selectors, so how can we make it work? So what we can do here, we can use the contains method and same formula, add contains, and after that use open parenthesis close parenthesis and replace this equal with a comma. So this is how you can write the XPath based on the contains text value. And you can also read the formula from here, double forward slash tag name contains text comma text value. And this text value is basically like, it could be the complete value or it can be the substring of that value. Okay. Then there will be scenarios like where there will be junk space. Like if junk space is there, let's say junk space means like space after or before the value. So if you see here SelectorsHub is there, and here at the end if you see there is a space, so this space is basically junk space, we consider it as a junk space. So now you see that if you write XPath for this element double forward slash h3 and we use text here, and suppose you have written this XPath, it will always show zero matching node. And now you will be scratching your head that it is like, I have written correct XPath double forward slash h3 and text is equal to SelectorsHub, but why it is showing zero matching node? Right, because there is a SelectorsHub here, but if you notice that there is a space as well here. So text is equal to, it will work only when you will be comparing the exact value. Okay, so you will have to add the space here, then only this will work. If suppose by mistake developer has added two space here, after this added two space, three space, then it will become very difficult with the bare eyes to figure it out how many spaces are there after SelectorsHub. So in this kind of situation, it is not suggested to use blank space like this after the word. It is never suggested that you write a space like this. This is wrong. Basically, like, you are supposed to report a bug here in this case to your developer that no, there should not be this kind of space, chunk space should not be there. But what if it is there and we will have to make a workaround of it? In that case, we have a function in XPath normalize space. what that does, that will remove that junk space and compare the value automatically. So basically that is like trim function. So like this one, it is not working. So what we can do, we can use the normalize space in place of this text. So if you write this normalize space here, normalize space is equal to SelectorsHub, and hit enter, it will find one element matching. And if you see that we have removed that space is not here. So normalize space, what it does, it basically trim the junk space and compare with the value. Normalize space, along with normalize space, also you can use the contains method. That is also fine. Like if you want to use the contains method, let's say you doesn't want to match exact value, then you can use contains here. So that is there, like contains is always there with all the functions, like with attribute, with text, with normalize space. So that will be there. But yeah, now it will be matching at two places, because there are two h3 in this page which is having the selectors hub, so it is matching two elements. That's fine, that's a different thing, how many matching. But yes, you can use this contains. But if you want to match exact value, then in that case you can use equal, and you will not be like, you need not to worry about that space thing. So this is where normalized space function is useful. And it is never suggested that you use text function in this scenario, and with space, never use this xpath, this kind of xpath, never copy this kind of xpath from here or from any editor to your automation script editor. Because what happens many a times, this space, when you copy junk space from one editor to another editor, or from one place to another place, the value used to get changed. So you might not under, like with bare eyes it is difficult to figure it out, like if this space has got changed or what happened. Because sometimes some editors used to trim this junk space, like if there are 3 4 junk space, then they might trim it to one. And some other issue as well could happen, like uh, for this space thing. Let me show you one example, which you can actually feel with the bare eyes. Because space is not, we can't figure out for the space with bare eyes. So here you see that single quote is there. Okay, now notice this, we have written single quote, we have written double quote, sorry. So one concept, that xpath works with single quote and double quote both. You can use here single quote or double quote, anything you can use. Okay, now you see that here we have used double quote. Remember, your script and the programming language Java always support this kind of double quote, or generally like all of the programming language supports this kind of vertical double quote. See this is not the tilted one. Focus here. If you look, this is a vertical double quote. Now see here, if you see that, let me copy and paste this value here in this notepad. Okay, observe this is a vertical double quote. Now if you type this xpath, let's say, and by mistake suppose you replace this value, something happened, and now if you add double quote here, you will see that this double quote will convert to tilted double quote. See, have you observed this, that this is the vertical one and this got tilted. Now if you use this xpath in your automation script, if you paste this one in IntelliJ, this will not work, because this is double quote vertical one and this is tilted one. And in fact, if you convert this vertical one as well to the tilted one, then also it will not work, your script might not work, this one. So it is always suggested that you write you don't use this junk space, and don't copy from one place to another place with junk space, and make sure that you always use the vertical double quotes, not the tilted one. Even if it is a single quote, then also that should be the vertical one, the one which you will type here. Okay, so I hope now you got this one, that you are supposed to use the vertical double quotes. In fact, like if you will paste this XPath in SelectorsHub, SelectorsHub will also tell you that check the syntax, this is an invalid XPath. These kind of double quotes are not supported. So okay, the point was we are not supposed to use the junk space, and also you got the concept that you are not supposed to use tilted double quotes or single quote. Always use the vertical one. Okay, so we have seen how can we use the text method and the normalize space method. So here if you if junk space is there, then we will use the normalize space function. Also remember the spelling of normalize, it is having z, not se. Se is wrong. Okay, so remember that spelling should be correct. If you will write no, wrong spelling, generally like selectors will suggest you that wrong spelling, use normalize in place of normalize. So here it should be z. Okay, next there is a dot function. Dot also works almost similar like text. You might have seen this function dot is equal to something like this and the text value. So suppose for this element, if we have to write the XPath, like /a here, and then dot is equal to training, you can use here. Okay, so yes, you can use this dot as well, but important part here is dot is basically used to write the XPath for an element based on its children text. So what does it mean? Like let's say for an example, if we inspect this element here, yeah, span. So if you see that, observe this, there is a hello, this one, which is the direct text of this span, and there is SelectorsHub as well, there is training as well, but these SelectorsHub and this training tool selenium, all these texts are its children's elements text, right? Hello is the only text which is directly belong to this span. Rest all text here like SelectorsHub, training, tool, selenium, they are the text of spans children. So in this case, if you want to use text method, then you cannot and you want to write XPath based on SelectorsHub text, then you cannot use the text function. You will have to use the dot function. Like if whenever you want to write the XPath for an element based on its children text, then go for the dot function. Like for an example here, if you want to write XPath for span based on this SelectorsHub, then you can use the dot function. And of course, like this is the this will be not directly equal value, it will be because this span is having text as hello, training, SelectorsHub, tool, selenium, everything is coming under that. So here you will have to use contains dot, and here in place of like this you want to use SelectorsHub, you can write the XPath for span based on this children text. If you want to use training, you can use training. Let me give better example here. Like let's say for this element, if you want to write XPath, or yes, so for this element, let's say for this div we want to write XPath based on this Gmail, and now this div doesn't have its own text. So here if you write XPath for this div, you cannot use text here. If you will use text, this will show zero matching node. But if you use dot here, because this Gmail is the direct children text for this element, then here if you want to write XPath for this div based on this Gmail, then you can use dot here and press enter, it will work. So whenever you have to write XPath for an element based on its children text, you can use the dot method. Okay, You can use contains dot and dot. If it is a directly matching the complete value, then you use equal dot. If you want to feel that you are writing based on partial value, then use contains dot. Like in here we were using this selector sub only, but there's training tool selenium also there, so in that case we will have to use contains dot. Here we know that this is the exact value we are going to match Gmail here only, then we can use equal. Now you can also use to write the XPath based on children text. You can also use normalize space. Like here, if you want, in place of dot, if you want to use normalize space, that also you can use here. Normalize space equal, here you can use Gmail. Normalize space also works as dot function. It will, primary functionality of normalize space is to trim the space, but it also works as dot function. Like you can use normalize space to write the XPath based on children text. So here you can use normalize space as well. And so this, like normalize space and text is normalize space and dot is the workaround for an parent element if you want to write the XPath based on children element text. So that is a kind of, like, you can say, workaround. But if an element has its own text, then that element has all the power to use any kind of function. Like if you're writing XPath for this anchor tag based on this text A, and you want to use text, here you can use text function, here you can use normalize space function, sorry, here is two, here you can use normalize space function, here you can use dot function. So if an element has its own text, then that will have all the powers to use any kind of function, text dot normalize space. But if an element having its like if an element doesn't have its own text and we want to write XPath based on children text, then you will have to use dot function or normalize space function. If you want to use let's say, you can also write here like contains text, you can use here. Like if you want to use sorry, for this element if you want to write, so you can use contains text as well for this anchor tag. Sorry, A and contains text. So for the say, if an element has its own text, then that has all the freedom to use any method. But any kind of function that has all the freedom, like contains text, contains normalized space and everything. But if a parent doesn't have its own text, then that will have to use dot or normalized space to write the XPath based on its children text. I hope that is more clear. Later in, like in more upcoming lectures, we will see the examples of these things more a lot, so that it will be get more clear to you. Yes, this normalized space dot and text function, it becomes more confusing when we add normalized space and dot. But remember, like in reality, like in real time work, I would always suggest that use the text function, this text function, so that there will not be any confusion, and it will not break, as well as like in future if any children element got added or something got added, so it will not break, and there will not be any confusion. Because text, if you will use this text function, that will be like okay for that particular element only. But this normalize space and dot function, they also consider the children's, and also that can cause issue. Okay, now last function. What is this last function? So if you will use, like, whenever you want the last element with, like, there are some conditions, you have written some XPath and you found something, many element under one parent, and you want to get the last element, then in that case you can use the last function. Like, let's say, suppose there are multiple inputs on this, in this page. Let me give this here so that it will be very easy to immediately understand. Suppose here in this page we have a span. How many spans are there? 3 spans are there. Okay, now we want those span which are the last child of its parent. In that case we can use last function here, last function here. So now it is showing two elements matching. So here, on what basis it will return? It will return me all the span which are the last child, last its kind of child. So here you see that /span. So under this div there are this span and this span. So this is the last span, right? Out of these two span, which one is the last? This one is the last, so it is returning this one. And there is one more, so let's see which span is the last child of its parent. So there must be under this one. So yeah, here it is. Suppose we want all the anchor tags which are the last child of its parent. So here there are 6 anchor tag, a tag, and now we want all the a tag which are the last child of its parent. Then you can use this one. So here it will return this a because this is the last of its parent, and this a, this is the last of its parent here. For this div, this is first a, this is second, and this one is the last one. So basically this is last function is generally used sometimes, many times, when you want to get the last elements of its kind. Position is equal to number when you want to get elements based on their position, based on their index. So you see that here under this div there is first a, second a, third a. Now you want the second a under this div, or let's say in this page we want all the a which are at the second position. So in that case you can use this /a, it is giving 6. Now you want all the a which are at the second position, so you can add position is equal to 2. So it will return those a which are at the second position. So this is at the second position. Let's expand if anywhere else. So first a, second a, it will return this one as well. So it is returning this and this. If you want all the a which are at the third position, then you can use this one. So here it is. So whenever you want the XPath based on the position, elements based on their position, then you can use the position function. XPath based on index. Remember one thing, like in coding, in programming, you must have seen that there are like 0 index always start generally with 0, right? So in case of XPath and selectors, index will always start with 1. Remember, index will always start with 1, not with 0. So whenever you have to count, like, okay, at which position this element exists, then always use /a. So here suppose there are 6 elements matching, okay. And we want to write XPath for, let's say, this element which is here at 5th position. Okay, so here this is at 5th position. Now we want to write the XPath for this one. So in this case, what you can do, you can surround your XPath with the parenthesis here, and then inside a square bracket you can add the index. Like we want to this fifth one we want, right? So here you can add this one. So we have written XPath for this element based on index. If you would have written XPath, let's say for this span, if we write XPath @class, and it is finding two elements matching because there are two elements which is having class is equal to ABC. So in this case, what we can do to make this unique XPath, and we want to quickly make it based on index. So what you do, you surround this XPath with the parenthesis, and SelectorsHub will also auto suggest you with the index XPath as soon as you type open parenthesis here in the beginning. But if you want to write by your own, so you see this, what is the occurrence of the element in the page for this XPath. So for this XPath, the occurrence of this element is second. So you can add index as 2 and make your unique XPath. Okay, so this is how you can write the XPath based on index. Okay, now in the next lecture we will learn how to write attribute, or like we will learn attribute preference while writing the XPath. Like what should be our attribute preference. If you want to take this complete course, or like you want to learn each and everything from me, what all these things, how to write the relative XPath based on axis and all those things, like complete course on this XPath, then I will leave the course link, complete course link in the description. You can take this whole course to learn each and everything about these XPath and tricks and tips, more functions, and how to write more robust XPath, everything. Also you can, if you want, you can enroll for register for my live training. The link will be given in the description. And keep learning, keep sharing. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and like the videos. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.